Installing a vinyl floor. So vinyl floor planks have completely taken over the industry as the easiest do-it-yourself flooring you can do. So many advantages for vinyl floor planks. Mostly waterproof, easy to clean and scrub, very durable, super easy to install, a thin profile so it doesn't raise your heights of your existing floors. In this application, we are actually going over an existing tile floor. Now, the tile floor here is still structurally sound. There's no cracks, there's no low spots, there's no movement when you walk over it. So you can absolutely go over it. So generally you want to start on your longest wall possible. Most manufacturers also recommend a 1/4 inch gap from your finished wall. You can use spacers like this so they keep it the appropriate amount away from the wall. Of course, later they'll be covered by trim in our application. If you're installing in a room where you already have the baseboard trim and don't want to remove it, you'll have a little 1/4 round gap to install. So for your next piece, it's less than a full piece, so you have to cut it. Now with snap together planks, you always need a factory edge going to another factory edge. So the easiest way, instead of measuring that, is to actually just take the plank, flip it over, measure to the wall with your appropriate 1/4 inch gap, and then just do a mark at where that cut is going to be. So when you cut that piece, you'll be ready to go.
This is a cutter specifically for laminate plank pieces or vinyl tiles, but you can do it with just a utility knife and score it on one side and break it and snap it.
You're going to angle it in place and it literally would just snap in position.
In most cases, you can snap it in with your fingers. I do like a rubber mallet to help me persuade it. Here you close up the gaps. Use the leftover cut piece to start the next row. That way you will save materials. Trimming around door jambs is always tricky. Your best bet is to undercut the door jambs and slide the finished floor underneath. Here we're going to have the vanity installed. Next up is the baseboard wall trim. It's nice if you can time the project that way to do the finished floor and then the trim over the floor. Pass load nail guns are perfect. This is the finished trim model. Of course, you can nail it by hand.
All right, so you want to do as much on the sink countertop before it's installed. You don't want to work on your back laying on the floor. That's probably the worst position ever. So just do as much as possible to get the drain assembly and the sink installed. Traditionally, you use plumber's putty in this gasket area between the sink and the drain assembly. Everybody now has switched to silicone caulk. It just prevents problems and holds up much better.
Here we're installing the silicone caulk around the pop-up drain assembly. Go ahead and use it liberally. You can wipe up the excess later after tightening the drain assembly.
Okay, that's it.
Lower it into the sink, tighten it up from underneath. Finger tight is good, and then use a large adjustable wrench. Installing the faucet onto the sink before lowering the sink into position is much easier. With the help of 2 people, we move the vanity into the room, mark its locations, cut the drain, and make any movements on the plumbing locations if needed. Here we had the drain in the way of the drawers, the vanity drawers, so we simply cut the 1.5 inch drain, put an angle piece, and move it over to the left. Solvent weld or glue on your 90-degree drain piece. Use primer first and then the PVC cement glue. Hold the pieces firmly into position for a bit. I usually do at least 10 seconds. Give it a little wiggle and then hold it firmly for at least 10 seconds. Purple primer will stain. Be extremely careful when around finished projects like your finished floor. Here we're working under the vanity, so this area will be covered. So we're moving the drain pipe over to the left to make room for the vanity drawers. This is the perfect spot for the vanity. We couldn't go any further because of the door placement. Here we're getting ready for the faucet connections. You do not need Teflon tape. If the fixture or fittings already have a rubber washer in there, you do not need Teflon tape. You only need Teflon tape if you have a metal-to-metal connection with no gaskets or rubber washers. I see a lot of do-it-yourselfers struggle with this part of the bathroom connection. They always get a leak here and then they try to fill it with caulk or something. So you have a quarter, typically a quarter, an inch and a quarter drain pipe coming from your bathroom sink to an inch and a half drain pipe. So small pipe into a large pipe, how do you make up that difference? In your drain trap assembly kit, or you might be reusing an old one, but you have two washers. You have a thinner one, a smaller one, and you'll have a larger one. You need to use the larger one to make up that difference between the small pipe and your new larger pipe. So the order is the nut, the larger washer with the narrow side facing down, and that will connect up with your drain trap and you'll be good to go. Turning on the water and checking the flow of the water. If it has an aerator, it is good practice to remove the aerator first, just so you're not clogging anything up, because there may be sediment in your lines if they've been off for a little while. Bringing in the toilet, this can definitely be a one-person job if you don't have the tank installed yet. So this is traditional wax ring, very inexpensive. Traditional has been used for decades and decades. There are more expensive, flexible ones on the market now that are 10 times the cost, but I've never had a leak with these ever. Of course, traditional wax rings are one side only. As you lower it and compress that wax ring, you only get one shot. If you accidentally lower it and smush it out, and then need to reposition the toilet, you do need to replace the wax ring. There is no adjustment after the wax ring is compressed. Here we're testing the water fill. The fill valve is turned on. Screwing in the shower head. Here you do use Teflon tape because it's just metal to metal grooves. Caulking required locations such as where the shower wall met the base. This is a special caulk made for that type of shower enclosure. It has to be rated as safe for plastics, etc. These are the wall sconces. The finish matches the finish of the interior of this bathroom. We have one on the left, one on the right. There will be a mirror centered in the center. Time to install the shower glass door. Here, the shower glass door is pre-ordered to make the size for the shower. So here, following manufacturer's instructions, we're cutting the top and bottom track to fit. It actually was pretty easy to use a wood saw blade to cut through this thin aluminum. Worked perfectly. Okay, so this is a carbide tip blade, so even though it's technically woodworking, we believe it'll work just fine with soft aluminum. Just go very slowly. If there's any excessive burrs or anything, you want to use a file to clean that part up, but this looks good. Okay, so now put in your side pieces and use a level to make sure that's perfectly level, and then mark your drill locations for the holes. There is solid wood blocking behind there because we knew we were going to install a glass sliding door, so we did not have to use hollow core anchors. We had two holes where the stud was setting a little too far back. I wasn't happy with the screw butting into it, so we opted to use hollow core anchors in two locations. Okay, now with both wall frames in place and the bottom piece in place, you move on to measuring and cutting the top header. Here we simply install the glass sliding doors on the top track. Check for the ease of sliding from left to right. If they are binding up, they can be adjusted. There was plenty of holes for adjustment. Okay, so the bathroom project is complete. Everything is finished. We still have very minor details, like I want a new GFI outlet with a bright cover, toilet paper holder, so very minor details like that. But overall, we are there. We promise to be open and honest with you as far as the cost. If you are doing the work yourself, how much you can save. The Delta shower base enclosure, $580. The sliding shower glass door, $600. Trims and flooring, $590. Toilet, plumbing fixtures, plumbing items, $870. Paint, drywall, and accessories, $680. The vanity, hardware, $420. Lights, bathroom ventilation fan, and electrical, $250. For a grand total of, this is the actual cost of the materials, $3,990, or let's just round it to $4,000. So if you donate the labor, if you do it yourself, you can do a complete bathroom renovation for $4,000. This bathroom was quoted by a contractor for $18,000. We donated our labor, did it at exact cost for $4,000. I bet you can do it yourself.